proper fiction is what we write. And the general question is, my problem with all science fiction is energy, but they use far too much of it.
I think the first question is for Ian and Banks. If I ever write proper fiction, I'll certainly give it serious thought.
What's the next?
Energy, we didn't even touch on fusion, which is the great hope for the future. Yes, a lot of the things I do require a great deal of energy. The book I'm writing at the moment, I had to be more careful about because that's writing near future stuff is the most difficult because it dates very quickly. So I had to be a bit more careful about that. But yes, energy is ignored by a lot of people. Hopefully I can gloss it over a little bit. I shouldn't have said that.
You haven't asked about my middle initial, which is a shame because I could have said that George Fraser, an astonishingly common writer's name. George Sutherland Fraser was a very distinguished poet who was actually a reader an expert in the romantic poems of Lowland Scotland. And when I came to the university, someone rang me up and said, "Could you tell us about the poems of Harry Vance?" And I told, "Get that off the phone." Little did I realise that the phone call had been misdirected from the English department to the Department of Physics. Blasphemed down the line to someone who wanted a real serious answer, not taking the mickey out of being Scottish. I didn't write the Flashman books either, that was George MacDonald for it.
Dad, we've got 100 of them down there for you to sign.
I could PP George MacDonald. I could channel him.
Any other questions? Yes, Jim.
Yeah, just what you're saying there, to both of you. Do you think the whole nuclear fusion thing has got legs to it, or is it dead?
I want to say an example question. Showed that the radiation dose from a cold fusion reactor would kill the participants within about a couple of hours. So cold fusion is still being researched. It's muon-mediated fusion. It's not chemistry of deuterium and palladium. So there are possibilities, but the first breakthrough in fusion results was in Harwell in 1958, I think, when unlimited electricity was going to be like that from a bucket of seawater. Well, I don't know about you, but I haven't got a bucket of seawater. And the trouble with fusion is it's clean, it's cheap, until you build one. And then it's an enormous, huge millions of tons of radioactive steel and concrete, thanks to the immense neutron flux that goes streaming out. So that's a slightly jaundiced answer.
I won't be a one then.
No, please don't.
We're back into what you said before of the cycle of experiments getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Because it's grown from Cullen to one of them in France. Maybe they will get there one day, but certainly, as you said, certainly not
the guy who does the radiation analysis for the Kardashian reactor was trained here in Leicester. Robin Barnes.
Are there other technologies like that would be as revolutionary in those terms?
Well, the thing that really transformed spaceflight, and Duncan will agree with us here in the audience, who writes a blog on advanced commercial and advanced rocketry generally, would be single-stage to orbit, which is unfortunately marginally unfeasible on any material that we can construct at the present time. But that would revolutionise everything.
Yes, there is actually a British company working on it called the Reaction Engines.
Skylon.
They have some very promising technologies.
That's the Skylon group.
Skylon, yes, that's the Skylon group.
So I do keep up to date.
Other questions from the audience? Will?
Yeah, you talked about science fiction tending towards dystopia, but within the past 10 years there's been a slight trend to do more optimistic science fiction, which has used more actual science from trying to combat global warming or fight pandemics. Do you have any thoughts on that?
themes in science fiction, again, we certainly the writers I know and myself do take reflecting what we see very seriously. What is happening in the world is what's happening in science fiction to a very large degree. So we as I say, we are a mirror up to reality. I know a lot of people, not a lot of people, I know some who are very, very committed green activists writing today, writing in science fiction and fantasy. It's not a movement we set out to do. People, myself, Steve Baxter, Paul McCauley, all sort of emerged at the same time because we're the same age. Therefore, it was called a wave of space opera in the 80s and 90s. It wasn't. It just so happened that we grew up watching Apollo when we were young, and those were our influences. And that was what we were writing back then. Back now, that is a fairly hot topic, and that is what you're seeing.
Other questions?
One of the themes in science fiction is that the psychology of people, they won't research what everybody says is impossible. And so somebody says, well, it's been done, now can you find out how they did it? Do you make use of that in your science fiction?
I think what you're saying is it's always best to be second in any field. It's always best to be second. It's much easier to discover things the second time.
Well, yes, but even if they haven't been discovered, does it, and somebody says, we've got to discover it, but it has already been discovered, does that certainty that it does exist?
You mean making
make you research better than if you're chasing what you think may be possible?
I'm afraid if you can't make a compelling case for something to exist, you're not going to get money. If you need money for an experiment, you're not going to get it. The true form of predicting the future is in a grant application. Because what you're going to do is say what you're going to do exactly, word by, day by day, hour by hour for the next 3 years, even if the subject is, quite unpredictable. So that's unfortunate.